The Last Leaf of Autumn. Once upon a time, in a quiet village surrounded by hills and woods, lived a little girl named Eliza. She had curly golden hair, a curious heart, and the kind of smile that could light up even the gloomiest sky. Eliza lived with her grandmother, Nana Rose, in a cozy wooden cottage with ivy crawling up the walls and the smell of cinnamon always in the air. Eliza's parents had passed away in a car accident when she was just a baby. Though she never truly remembered them, she missed them dearly. Sometimes, she would look up at the sky and whisper, "I hope you're watching, Mommy and Daddy." Nana Rose always held her close and replied, "They always are, my sweet star." Eliza loved three things the most in the world: books, painting, and the big oak tree that stood right in the middle of the village square. It was called Old Oscar, and the villagers believed he was magical. His branches stretched wide like open arms, and every autumn his leaves turned the most brilliant shades of red, orange, and gold. Children would play beneath him, lovers would carve their initials into his bark, and old men would sit and tell stories under his shade. But one autumn, everything began to change. Nana Rose grew sick. At first, it was just a cough, but soon she became weaker, and her warm hands felt cold to the touch. The doctor would visit with a frown on his face and whisper things Eliza didn't understand. The cottage felt quiet, like the silence had moved in to stay. Eliza stopped painting. She stopped smiling. She would sit by Nana's bed, holding her hand, reading to her from the same books they used to share by the fire. "Tell me about the oak tree again," Nana whispered one evening, her voice barely a breath. "It's turning golden now," Eliza replied, looking out the window. "Almost all the leaves have fallen. Just a few left." Nana closed her eyes. "When the last leaf falls, the world begins again." Eliza frowned. "What do you mean?" Nana smiled faintly. "Life comes in seasons, my darling. Spring brings life, summer brings joy, autumn brings change, and winter brings rest. But even in winter, the seed of hope sleeps under the snow." Eliza didn't understand. All she knew was she didn't want winter to come, not if it meant losing Nana. The next morning, Eliza went to see old Oscar. The village square was almost empty. A cold wind blew, and the last few leaves clung tightly to the branches. She counted them. 7. 7 golden leaves dancing in the breeze. Suddenly, a boy's voice spoke behind her. "Talking to the tree again?" It was Milo, a boy from her school. He had messy brown hair and a slingshot always tucked into his pocket. "I wasn't talking," she mumbled, "just counting." Milo stepped closer and tilted his head. "Why?" She hesitated. Then she told him everything, about Nana, about the last leaf, and about the winter she feared. Milo didn't laugh, he didn't tease, he just nodded and said, "Then we'll make sure that last leaf doesn't fall." Eliza blinked. "But how?" He grinned. "With a little paint, a little glue, and a lot of hope." That evening, when the village went to sleep, 2 small figures crept into the square with brushes, paints, string, and tiny clothespins. They worked under the stars, giggling and whispering. They painted extra leaves to look just like Oscar's. They climbed as high as they could safely go and clipped them to the branches. By dawn, Oscar looked fuller than he had in days. Eliza beamed. Nana smiled that morning too. "Looks like Oscar is holding on," she whispered. Day after day, Eliza and Milo added more leaves, disguising the tree's growing baldness. And each evening, Eliza would read to Nana and tell her, "Oscar's still golden." But as the days grew colder, Nana grew quieter. One night, the wind howled fiercely. Rain slapped against the windows and the tree groaned under the storm. Eliza couldn't sleep. She ran outside in her boots and coat, Milo close behind her. They looked up in horror. The wind had ripped away most of the fake leaves. Only one real leaf remained at the very top. Just one. Eliza's heart ached. "She'll think it's over." Milo touched her shoulder. "Then we won't let it fall." So they stood there, 2 children in the storm, shielding old Oscar's last leaf. They wrapped it with string, tied it gently to the branch, and prayed the wind would rest. Morning came and the storm passed. The leaf was still there. Eliza rushed home and climbed into bed beside Nana. It's still there, Nana. The last leaf. It's still holding on. Nana opened her eyes, a soft light glowing in them. She reached out and touched Eliza's cheek. So are you, my darling. You're strong, like Oscar. Eliza smiled through her tears. Because of you. That night, Nana Rose passed away in her sleep. The village mourned. Eliza didn't cry at first. She felt empty, like a hole had opened inside her chest. But the morning after the funeral, she walked to the village square. The last leaf was gone. But something else was there. A tiny green bud. New life. Spring was coming. Milo stood beside her silently. Do you think she knows? Eliza nodded. She always knew. Years passed and the village changed. Eliza grew taller, her paintings more beautiful, and her smile deeper with memory. Old Oscar stood firm, season after season, and every autumn, when the last leaf remained, Eliza would tell the children in the village the story of the tree, the leaf, and the love that never falls.